Coming up on today's episode of Pixil.info, Part 2 of advanced slicing inside of Photoshop. Sponsored by unoob.net, the Newbie Network. Music on Pixil.info is brought to you by Ekin. Alright, welcome back. So in my last tutorial, we took a look at using smart objects and layer comps for web build-out. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the how-tos and go in-depth in Photoshop. Alright, so let's get right to it. Alright, so when your design is ready for build-out, the first thing you'll want to do is make some text layer comps. This is going to help us export our slices easily. So just click on the new layer comp icon in your layer comp palette and give it a name like text on. Next, make sure that you have visibility checked. Okay, now make another layer comp and name it text off. Now start turning off all of your HTML text. So to select the text layer with the move tool, you can hold down the command or control key and click on the layer. Okay, so with all the text turned off and the layer comp selected, click on the update icon to save the layer comp. Okay, now we can start cycling through them. By having these layer comps set up, this will allow us to quickly turn off all the HTML text with a single click. So that'll allow us to export our slices much faster. Next, let's take a look at our navigation. The goal here is to set up the document to have rollover graphics. So we can do this by converting the nav into a smart object and then create rollover graphics along with layer comps and slices. First, make a selection of your background layer. Make sure it's the size you want your smart object to be. So just copy merge, paste, and then name the layer. Right click on the layer and then convert it into a smart object. Now open the smart object and copy the graphics over. So just click and drag on the folder and plop it into place. Now we have to duplicate our canvas height. So we're basically setting up the navigation for the CSS sliding doors technique. So duplicate the background layers and folders and then shift them down. Now create some cool graphics for the rollovers. Okay, so when you switch back to your main layout, make the same marquee selection of the background layer. Make that into a mask so you can mask out the rollover graphics. Okay, so next we'll convert our sidebar into a smart object. So just like before, create a marquee selection to determine the size that you want your smart object to be. Then drag over the graphics, adjust the layers, and save it. So next, create the text layer comps. This may become tedious if your layers aren't organized, so it's important to have layer organization. Okay, so by now you should know that creating slices is a much better method than manually making selections and then exporting each image piece by piece. By creating slices, we're able to save the image name, compression settings, dimension, and the ability to export them all out at the same time. Before we start creating slices, make sure we got guidelines set up so that they snap easily. Now draw out some slices. Name your slices simple and make sure that they're all consistent, so having a naming convention comes in handy. Next, make slices in your smart objects. When you export your slices, make sure you switch to the text off layer comp. In the Save for Web and Devices dialog, you can set the image compression settings. In our save window, we can set it so we export only selected slices. I almost always have it to this setting. Next, export the slices inside the smart objects. You can select multiple slices by holding down the shift key, and you can also set the compression settings all at the same time. Alright, that's it for my web build-out workflow. Alright, so that does it for today's episode of Pixil.info. Until next time, I'm Ekin.
I'm Pedro.
And I'm Dingo. See you next time.
Sponsored by nghost.com.